Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Right Crowd 2021, a virtual literary expo. I am so very excited to be presenting this literary expo during the month of November. And November is particularly special because it is National Family Literacy Month. So I'm very excited to take some time out of this Saturday afternoon to talk to all of you about National Family Literacy Month, a little bit on the history, how important literacy is, the different avenues that it covers. It covers in a lot larger realms of life than just reading and writing that we often think and perceive it as. And of course, how can we practice literacy at home, which is the title of this panel, National Family Literacy Month, Literacy at Home. So to begin, a little bit about myself. My name is Katelynn Rentería, and I am an author right here from the Rio Grande Valley. I am the host and creator of The Right Crowd, a virtual literary expo, and this is the second time The Right Crowd is being put on and virtual out into the world of Facebook and YouTube, so anyone can come on and say hello and leave comments and interact. I hope to do this every year, and it's just been such a wonderful time to be able to showcase so many talented writers, poets, authors, literacy advocates, and so many different people who have their place and their roots in literacy that make the RGV so diverse and so beautiful, not just in the RGV, but beyond. And it's just always such a pleasure. And I'm so happy to be able to bring this in 2021. So some background on myself. I was born and raised here in the Rio Grande Valley, and I graduated high school as valedictorian with an Associates of Science degree in biology. I then continued to pursue my Bachelor's of Science degree in psychology at UTRGV, and I graduated with that in 2020. And I am currently a graduate student for my master's degree in experimental psychology, aiming for graduation 2022. So I am very, very much an academic. I love to learn. I'm trying to pursue my education, but a big part of my life consists of reading and writing. And I will continue to talk about the foundations of that a little bit further on our discussion today. So I actually wrote the manuscript for my first book when I was 14 years old, and I finished it when I was 15, and I published at 16. So this book here, The Other Side of the Law, is actually a product of 14-year-old me, then turned 16. And when I was 17, it won the Literary Classics Book Award, Silver Book Award for the middle school division, which was absolutely amazing. And now here I am today talking to all of you about how literacy is so very important in shaping the foundation for future successes. And this panel is going to be focused on how we can practice National Family Literacy Month, not just in November, but always. So a little bit about the history of National Family Literacy Month. How did it get started? What was the goal? Well, it all started in 1994 as a way to celebrate and promote literacy by encouraging parents and caregivers to read to their children. And often we hear the words read and we hear the words write, and we think that's what literacy is, reading and writing, and the ability to read and the ability to write. But it is so much more than that. According to the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, they define literacy as the ability to identify, understand, interpret, create, communicate, and compute using printed and written materials associated with varying contexts. What does all of that mean? That means that literacy goes beyond the words on a page that are bound into a book. Literacy means being able to communicate through essays and letters and text messages and emails. And it means learning through textbooks and fiction books and fantasy and poetry, anthologies, children's books, other written mediums, and to understand spoken language versus written language. And we can use reading and writing as tools to succeed on a personal level, academically, in our career fields, and beyond. So that is a whole lot of ways that literacy can impact one's life and spell out success in capital letters. But how do we make that happen in our children? Well, that's what National Family Literacy Month is all about. And Emily Buckwald did say it best: children are made readers on the laps of their parents. And so that is one of the big points that we're going to talk about today, especially when discussing why is this important? Why is National Family Literacy Month so important? Why is reading important? Why is writing so prevalent and imperative that we instill this and plant the seeds in our children? Well, getting to the roots of National Family Literacy Month, reading together is absolutely crucial for a child's development in the terms that it helps with child's language development. A study published by the Journal of Developmental and Behavioral Pediatrics showed that parents who read one picture book a day to their children, just one, and you read to them every day, can expose them to about 78,000 words a year. That is so much, and it helps with vocabulary, it helps with spelling, it helps to raise their ability to have conversations. It is a vital key in supporting and developing their language development. And books written for children actually contain 50% more words than children are likely to hear in conversation or on television or the radio or other media. So by reading to your children, you're exposing them to 50% more words than what they hear on TV or having conversations at school or hearing things on the radio. So reading helps not only with the actual language development, but just the exposure of words. So that way they can learn and grow and continue on. And reading together also helps with reading comprehension. Your child can ask you a question as they're reading. If they don't understand what's happening, they can ask about the characters, they can ask about the plot, and you can be engaged and answer them. And you can even ask them questions about what's happening. What do you think the character is going to do next? Where are they going again? What's the adventure that's going to happen? Ask your child questions as you read, and they'll start to think critically. They'll start to use context clues. They'll start to recognize, certain settings and the different cues based on the words and the language and the vocabulary. You can help your child's reading comprehension simply by reading a book and asking them questions about it. And on an academic note, children who are read to at least 3 times a week are almost twice as likely to score in the top 25% in reading scores compared to children who aren't read to 3 times a week or at all. So the best possible way to ensure that your child is going to score high academically through reading and writing is to read to them on a daily basis. And just reading in general, children are able to learn by seeing and reading about characters different from themselves. They can learn about different places, different worlds, real or imaginary, and you can educate them both literally by learning about different cultures, different people, different customs, different places, and creatively because they get to see how much you can use your imagination. It shows how creative people can be when they're writing their stories, and it might even encourage them to write their own. And plus, it's just fun. Reading is one of the most enjoyable things I remember from childhood because I remember my parents reading to me before bed, and I would hear the silly voices and they would ask me what I thought as the story was going on, and they asked me what would happen next. They asked me what I wanted to read that day. They gave me a voice in the matter and said, well, what do you want to read tonight? What character do you want to hear about? And they took the time to share those stories with me. And I know that without the support of my parents instilling that passion for literacy in me as best as they could, I wouldn't be here where I am today academically, in a literary sense, with how far I've gotten in my author career, and just who I am in general. And looking back, I'm immensely grateful to my parents for just taking the time to sit down and read a book with me. It's something that may seem small, but it had such a lasting impact to who I am now, and definitely how I'm going to continue on through life from here on out. So from cognitive development to reading and writing skills, to vocabulary, to spelling, to the bonds and memories you'll create, to that foundation for academic success. The list never ends as to why reading is so important and why National Family Literacy Month promotes reading as a family, but it's a practice that you should carry all year round. Not just in the month of November. It's a great place to start, starting today, but continue to carry that practice every single day until you make it a habit and you continue to expand literacy in your home in little ways that you can. And we will talk about that right now. So how can we practice literacy at home? A lot of the times we'll think it just boils down to reading a book or going to the library. And those are very, very true. Those are pivotal. Those are so important. But there are a lot of other ways that we can encourage literacy at home that we may not think are so obvious. So first and foremost, reading with your children at home by setting time aside every day. That is immensely important. It seems very simple, but it's one of the most lasting, impactful things you can do for your child. Whether it's a bedtime story before bed, or you read a story before dinner, after dinner, on the morning, in the weekend, you can listen to an audiobook in the car, or you can even have your child read to you in the car. If you can just find 10 minutes a day or one book a day, where they could just read to you and read with you, and you can share those stories. You can pronounce words for them. You can ask them those questions. You are building that structure of practicing literacy as a habit on a daily basis. And that's really important for children to learn routines and to cement those practices in their everyday lives. And before you know it, they'll be saying, Mom, Dad, it's time to read. Let's go ahead and start this. It's time to read. I want to read. And you've planted the seed and you've watched it grow. And it's an absolutely beautiful thing to see them start to love reading because you helped make that happen. And something as simple as keeping books around the house. It sounds simple, but by having books on a table or on a shelf or just showing that books are present, you're exposing all kinds of books to kids of all different genres. And it makes the concept of reading familiar to children. They might just pick up a book on their own and try to check it out and see what it's about. And having a home library with books for everyone, whether that's mom and dad, big brother, big sister, aunt, uncle, and the children themselves, it shows them that reading isn't just at school. Parents read, siblings read, their family members read, and it shows that reading can and does happen at home. Even if it's a single shelf that you stack a couple books on left to right, it plants that seed of an idea that books belong at home. And of course, a great way to practice literacy at home is to visit a library regularly. It's a fun time to be able to take your child and get a library card. They feel official, they're a member of the library club, and it's super awesome for them to become a member of an awesome community. They go to the library and they see people reading. They see people working. They have a variety of books to choose from that they may not have seen before. And it teaches responsibility about taking care of the books and then returning them on a deadline. And they can always check out the awesome activities that libraries have planned. Libraries are so much more than just places you can go check out books. They've always got programming. They have after-school activities, summer reading, any holiday that you can think of, a library is celebrating it. It's a wonderful community for your children to be a part of, and it goes hand in hand with reading and literacy. And another fun activity to do is to read the book that goes along with a movie. If your child has a movie that they like and there's a book that's attached to it, read that book and then watch the movie. You can talk to your child about how the book compares with the movie, and they get to do a fun thing like reading and tie it with something they like and their favorite thing in watching a movie. And it shows that, reading is everywhere, even in some of their favorite things, like that blockbuster movie that they want to watch over and over. And this can happen for all ages. My teenaged brother and I still do this. We'll read the book, whether it's a chapter book or not, on our own or a couple chapters together, and then we'll watch the movie. Or we'll read the manga a couple chapters or together, and then we'll watch the anime. Well, if there's a book format and then there's a media format, we'll watch them, we'll read them, and then we'll watch them. And it's something that you can do at any age that's fun, and it combines leisure like a movie with a valuable skill in reading. And you can make it a tradition. Read a book and watch the movie once a week, once a month, however your schedule permits. Build that practice, and it creates amazing memories, instills the love of reading, and it's just a fun thing for you to do as well as for your children. And you can even help children make their own books. You can have it be its own separate thing. You can sit down with your child and, have the paper, have the markers, have the pencils, and say, hey, do you want to write a book? Come up with a story. If they come to you with a story or an idea, tell them, write that down, draw the pictures, encourage them to want to practice those storytelling skills and making reading and writing. Or even if it's after a fun event, like they had a nice time at a family gathering or with friends or at school. If it's something that you'd like to keep as a memory, have them write a book about it and they can draw the pictures. It's going to be a beautiful keepsake when you're able to see years from now that they remembered the Easter party at grandma's. But then it also helps them with their writing skills, with their storytelling, their social literacy. And again, it's just a great memory to keep, and they're practicing those skills all at the same time. Even something as small but impactful as turning on the captions when you're watching a movie or television or online videos. When children are able to hear the audio from the movie or TV, but they're able to read the captions at the bottom, it's helping those children make connections between the words they hear and the words they read. And they can identify new vocabulary. And when they encounter these words again in the real world or in school or however, they'll already know how they sound and they'll know what they mean because they've heard them in conversation already. Something like when you're driving down the street or you're at the store, point out signs, point out labels, ask them to read certain words on the signs and things like that. Menus at a restaurant. If there are things with words that you can find in the world, have your child pronounce them and read them. And if you do this every day, it helps children to practice pronunciation. They learn new words, and they understand that reading is everywhere, even in the signs we use to get home and in the menus we eat at restaurants with. Reading is in every aspect that they do, and to hone that skill whenever you can is very, very important. And finally, encourage all forms of reading. With children, we turn to picture books. They're able to see the pictures, they're able to listen to the story, and they watch as the words go along with the pictures. Then they go on to chapter books and novels, and they find the genres they like and things like that. The list grows and grows and grows. But if your child takes an interest in graphic novels or manga or audiobooks or even books that aren't at their grade level or reading level, embrace the fact that the interest of reading is present and let them read what makes them happy so they can continue to foster the love of reading in their own way and at their own pace. Children are going to find what they like. They're going to find the genres. They're going to find the format. They're going to find the medium. Audiobooks are still reading. Graphic novels are still reading. Manga are still reading. You're still instilling that love of literacy by letting them have fun with it, letting them engage with the medium they like, and it's absolutely imperative to let it flourish and let it grow and let them love reading the way they want to. So in conclusion, literacy is very, very, very important. It is just something that goes beyond just reading and writing. And the skills these children can learn from simply reading a book with their parents, one book, once a day. Read with your children, and the skills that they'll learn and the bonds that are forged will span from childhood all the way into adulthood. Memories can be made, bonds can be forged and solidified, and you're helping your child build a better future for themselves by simply demonstrating that reading happens everywhere, especially at home. So while National Family Literacy Month is essential in promoting literacy and bringing awareness and all of its benefits, we don't just read in the month of November. November celebrates National Family Literacy Month. It's important. We have the festivals and events like this, and we talk about it, but this goes from November and beyond. Build the habit every single day to read a book. Practice the small things like turning on captions and reading signs and reading a book in the car or before bed. There's little ways that you can instill that love of reading and make reading familiar to your children. It's a practice, and it absolutely belongs at home. Read every day, make it a habit and a practice for years to come, and watch your child grow up with the tools they need to succeed. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Right Crowd. And for those of you that have been watching and are continuing to watch, thank you so very much for your support, not only of myself, but for every single author and panelist featured on this virtual literary expo. We are going to have authors, we're going to have literacy advocates, we're going to have educators, librarians, special guests, and it's just a testament to show that literacy expands across so many realms, from reading and writing to art and musicians, to comics and manga, to scripts and movies. There are so many avenues that make literacy as diverse and as beautiful as it is. And each and every artist and literacy advocate present in the RGV and beyond absolutely plays a part in shaping the landscape of literacy in everything that they do. So, happy National Family Literacy Month. I am so very grateful to be able to bring The Right Crowd 2021, a virtual literary expo, to you during National Family Literacy Month. And The Right Crowd is not over. There is another panel at 4 o'clock later. And I am just so very pleased to have the number of panelists on, different backgrounds, different genres, different stories to tell. And again, for those of you that have been tuning in and for those of you that continue to support, much love to you all. The support is always appreciated, and it's going to be a whole weekend worth of awesome panels and awesome people. I do see some comments popping up that while I was speaking. Rosalinda Cruz says, movies and books are a great way to combine a variety of learning styles. Yes. And again, that's for all ages. I know doing that with a child is great. Christmas is coming up. Read Rudolph and then watch the movie. Read Frosty the Snowman and then watch a movie. myself with my teenage brother, we still read novels and then we'll watch the movie, or we'll read manga and watch the adaptation. There's a lot of different ways that you can combine the learning styles with books and movies. And Rosalinda Cruz also says, we always have captions on with our grandchildren. Research-based, they learn the words as they view their favorite shows. 100% true. There's studies behind this. And as someone who puts on the captions on as well, it helps me, even at my age, to be able to learn new words and make those connections. And it's especially imperative and insightful for our children. Great tips, Katelynn. Thank you so much for tuning in, Rosalinda. And Rosario Ozuna says, you are awesome, Katelynn. Thank you so very much, Rosario. Thank you for the support. So this has been a National Family Literacy Month, Literacy at Home. This was just a really quick panel to be able to talk about what National Family Literacy Month is, why it is so important, why literacy is so imperative to instill in our children and beyond across the lifespan. And I hope that you learned, and I hope that you continue to enjoy the Right Crowd 2021. More things to come. It's going to be exciting. So thank you so very much, and I will see you later. Bye.